to give a little recap of history. When we had our board meeting back in June of 2022, there had been lots of talk and discussion from residents at the board meetings about the quality of the landscaping that was going on. I noted it, kind of gave a verbal indication of where I thought it was and it needed to get better. We were going to check in in the third quarter, which we did August and September. We talked about it at our September, I want to say it's either September or November board meeting. And amongst all that time, we had lots of storms, lots of things to keep contractors busy from their day-to-day job. But we're past that. And my hurdle really was, they had gotten better than where they were. They had a long road to go. The hurdle I kind of put in front of the landscaping company was, you got to knock the overseed out of the park. It's like the lowest hurdle for a landscaping company, because everybody down to a homeowner can generally overseed turf. Not that it's error free, but it's a relatively straightforward thing for any landscaper, small, big, or large, in the valley to do. So that's kind of my hurdle. And then we always needed to have a follow-up. We asked the management company, Cohere, to track and put together tracking devices, which I'm hoping I see that tonight.
Yes.
So we have some metrics, and really what I want to get out of this is from the board's perspective is final direction. Either the board is satisfied with Gothic and this topic goes to rest, or we're not satisfied, and what are our steps from that point forward. And so that's the intent of this agenda tonight. We're at that point. We've gotten through the overseed. We didn't want to be changing landscapers in the overseed. I prefer never to change landscapers. It's a disruptive process. So here we are to make that decision tonight of which direction we want to go, put it to rest, or is there another step we need to move forward on? And so I need to hear frankly from all the board members their thoughts and opinions on it, and from the management company. So with that, I'm going to kind of look to the Cohere to give us some background.
Okay. So we're sharing the screen. Hope everybody can hear us. So we put together a slide deck that I want to run through. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. It's pretty self-explanatory. So next slide. So these are all the parks that were supposed to be overseeded for 2022. You can see the key up in the right-hand corner, good, average, and poor are different colors. So that's kind of the scorecard on our ratings of how the overseeding came out. At least 50% are poor. You've got a few that are average, and then the rest we actually graded as good. Next slide. Predominantly poor. So all the parkways were supposed to be overseeded throughout the community. So this is just some pictures of the overseeding. We're going to go through 6 or 8 slides on the overseeding. So this is Hamilton Parkways. You can see the result. These were taken just in the last few days. This is Founders Park. See the patches, lack of overlapping weeds. Next. Market side overseeding. This got a poor rating. As you can tell, there's very little germination at all in any of the market side parks, including the dog park. Kings Green. The dark green spots are basically dog using the bathroom, the high nitrogen in the dog urine.
How recent are these pictures?
Yesterday and a few days ago.
This week, from Monday through today.
Okay.
So next, this is Lost Creek. I'm just going to go through these. This is out in the park behind us, Village Commons behind the Jackson Building in front of the golf clubhouse. Another picture of Kings Green and Common Parkways. You can tell there's no overseeding germination at all in these areas. Heritage Swim Park.
Go
Go back, there's a lot of weeds. I think they've sprayed this lawn today for weeds, but you can see the patchy overseeding results. Again, these are just parkways and right of ways. You see the weeds and all those, the weeds in this. Lack of germination. Just go through these. That's a swim park. Here are weeds that, you know, these are 3, 4, 6 inches tall in some cases that have not only not been mowed, but not been sprayed out. Again, Hillcrest, this is weeds and that turf. Bear Park, then common area. Again, the bare spots, the dark green is dogs using the bathroom in that area. So it's called that's patchiness. These are the townhomes behind,
Frank's Residential.
Frank's Residential, right here behind Jackson. Sidewalks, move on to sidewalks. Part of their contract is to review sidewalks on a regular basis and let us know what they feel like needs to be done. Excuse me, that basically did take place hardly at all through the year. Karina and Jesse on staff actually have been going out and marking them the last couple of months. We have had some tripping here in the last couple of weeks in some of the areas. So we had a contract to replace a lot of panels on a couple of streets behind here off Golf Drive back in here, but this is a couple of other sections that are in bad need of repair, and we just weren't notified. We're the ones that went out and marked all these. Trees, not notifying us per the contract on the trees. I know they have some certified arborist on staff. These trees have been dead on this street to the point that termites have gotten in them. These should have been corrected months and months ago or taken out. Graffiti, it's also in their contract to continuously inspect for and remove graffiti. We're always the ones that have to inform the contractor about the graffiti. And it's supposed to be a day-to-day visual observation on their end and to basically cover it up or pressure wash or whatever they need to do to it. Parks should be cleaned 2 times per week on Monday and Friday. And you can see where there's debris laying around in this park on the left. Kings Green, again, you see lack of germination. Then the high nitrogen of the urine. Hamilton Commons, just another overseeding picture. Here's some sidewalk areas, just the lack of maintenance, the dead plant material that's not been removed. Just more pictures of weeds. The picture on the right is the dog waste cans that should be emptied daily and they end up getting filled up. Sometimes they go a week before they empty them. Other trash cans, the irrigation repairs, just partially repaired and just left with the cans sitting out on top of the ground, nothing covered up, no covers on the one on the right. The damage to the sign on Indian School and Barado Way, I think sat there 3 weeks almost, didn't it, Jesse?
Correct.
That's something that they should have been policing and picking up and alerting us to. You know, this is damaged and needs to be repaired. Again, this lack of maintenance of the shrubbery along these walkways and that golf cart. Well, that's a cart trail. It's not on the golf course, I don't think. Okay, here's some numbers. A lot of you have seen the third quarter 21 versus third quarter 22. So we went back, that was 884 total concerns versus 356 from 2021. Fourth quarter is 1,303 concerns versus for fourth quarter 22 versus 346 for fourth quarter 21. So basically 4 times as much. Again, you've seen these numbers. This was in something I put together previously. 21 satisfied with landscaping is 84.09, 22 was 33.11. Unsatisfied went from 10.5 to 43 year over year. These are the scorecards that we started around the 1st of November. You'll see the value for each of these. Give you a minute to look at these, and then the ranking that staff that have been involved in landscaping on a daily basis gave each of these categories. Some were not pertinent at the time each card was done, so there's no deduction or ranking on them. So turf with value of 10, deducted 5, that would be a 50% grade on the overseeding at that point. So move on. So there were 2 done on November 2nd, and then we started combining. So Jesse and Karina both did one on November 2nd, and you can see their scores are pretty similar. There are a few differences in them. Go forward. So the 28th, there were a couple of weeks in there that we did not rank. The 28th, they were overseeding. We figured we'd give them a couple of weeks to see germination, this, that, and the other. Since that was our main focus at that point, we were still watching doggy bags and trash cans and things of that nature, but so November 28th, turf looked a little bit better at that point. You can see the rankings, and some of these that actually went up from 2 weeks prior rankings. Go on. So this was December 8th, a week later. Turf starting to slip a little bit. Some of the other rankings are pretty good. The playgrounds, tree trimming, got good scores on those for that week. But again, the turf edging, the turf weed control, all down around 50%. Weed control in the bed area is down around 50%. December 22nd, again, turf and turf fertility, you can see a 2 on that. Again, these are combined scores. These later ones, the 3 of us talked about and then came up with these final scores on these later scorecards. The turf fertility had not been done. That's kind of evident at this point. They did, again, doggy bags, no complaints this week on that particular item, but you get the gist of what we were rating. January 4th, middle of the line on most things. Plant fertility, we had rain through late December, so things started to green up on their own, as you can tell by the mountainsides around us. Cleanliness, they did do a better job through the holiday months of keeping Verrado away in those areas pretty clean. Then the wind started and the leaves again. So January 11th, again, just for comparison. Okay. And that's it on the slide deck. Our observations at this point are that Gothic's quality of services are not up to the Verrado community standards, and therefore we feel like that we should go out to bid for a landscape vendor.
Dave, I got one on the scorecards. Are those scorecards for individual parks or an aggregate of park inspections?
That's an aggregate.
Okay. Of how many parks? All of them?
Basically, all of them, basically the entire property each week.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for that presentation. So I kind of laid out my thoughts earlier. Verrado's a huge community, and every landscaper is going to struggle at some point in it. I think that's just the nature of the business and the beast that is Verrado. And our level of service has a certain level of expectation for it. And you can certainly go higher. It comes with a huge cost because you're going to have multiple redundant crews and all sorts of things. That'd be nice, but I don't think anybody wants to pay that price. Doesn't mean we can't have great landscaping for what we're paying. And I gotta say, I just, as much as I wish I could say differently, I don't see it personally. But I'd sure like to hear from, and I'd like to hear from the rest of it, because we don't even talk about this from the founder's perspective in general. And so I'm looking for everybody's feedback on it. I don't know who wants to go next.
What do you think, Dave? Katz?
I'd like to hear what you folks from DMV have to say, because you folks called the meeting and called the agenda, so I'd like to hear what your thoughts are.
Okay, I'll go next. I think it looks horrible. Dave?
did you admit Dave Nelson back in? Hold on, Aaron, we gotta make sure he got admitted back in when he switched over.
I see him on video. I think he's
Dave
muted.
Nelson, he's muted.
Oh, ask him to unmute.
Well, while we wait for Dave, what about Lance or Mr. Katz?
Well, I can see both sides. I know that when they started, they inherited a lot of problems. The landscaping was in bad shape when they started. There were over 1,000 leaks in the irrigation system. They stepped up to the plate and repaired those pretty quickly. I mean, the pictures don't lie that there are problems everywhere. We know there've been a lot of complaints from homeowners, and we don't ignore those. And whether I'm not saying they aren't reality, but perception is important. We want people to feel comfortable with their community, and right now they're not. We know that they also, there was really no Cohere oversight for the first 8 months of their work here. Some will say that Cohere was not responsible for overseeing landscaping. That's just not true. There was no contractual elimination from their scope. Cohere should have been on the case from day one. They had nobody dedicated assigned to landscaping. It's not entirely their fault, but it's certainly a contributing problem. And hopefully, as we get new staff on board who's dedicated to landscaping, whoever the contractor is, it's going to be helpful. I see possibility of putting it out to bid and possibly into a couple of different packages. We tried putting it out into different packages before. Nobody wanted the special service areas, and Gothic was kind of forced to take that at a loss. So, you know, we appreciate their efforts there, but we know it's been a difficult job. So having said that, I can see going forward and seeing what else is available on the market.
Thank you, Dave. I got a text from Dave Nielsen. He said she needs to be unmuted. I don't know if the mechanism behind that, but that's why he can hear us, but he can't talk.
Is he under a different name? Yeah. Is he under a different name by chance?
D. Nielsen.
There he is.
There he is.
There he is.
There.
Thank you.
Dave, you're back.
I've been here.
All right, so I'll leave the floor open to you. Yeah, I know you were listening in, but you couldn't talk, so
Yeah, no,
floor
thanks.
is yours.
Thank you. You know, a little bit of what you said, Dan. I mean, any landscaper, particularly if they come on board, you know, they're gonna struggle a little bit. They're gonna go through growing pains. But as far as I'm concerned, this is so bad and so unimpressive that I just don't have confidence that Gothic can get the job done. We've been part of this community for decades, and I've never seen it look so poor. Say what you want about DLC and, outside of irrigation issues that perhaps Gothic inherited, they did not inherit a program that was of poor standards and poor quality, and that was always expected. I had a feeling we would get what we paid for in the bid process, and I don't know if it's a function of they are just overwhelmed and over their head, and the only way to get back up to the surface is to throw 2 times or 3 times some more crews at it. And of course, that increased the cost. So the performance doesn't match their bid. I don't think they can ever get there. And frankly, just I don't see that they really have an interest in getting there. And that's just from, listening to them throughout the meetings and kind of their interaction with folks. So I'm not impressed, not happy with it. I'd love to get somebody else more qualified out there.
Thank you, Dave. Lance? Any thoughts?
Easily unmuted. Hold on.
While he's thinking, I just want to add a comment there. I don't think that things were great when Gothic started. I mean, I just look at the ground cover as you drive around, the ground cover that's in the parkways. It was almost non-existent in some places. It was patchy in other places. It was bad when DLC was here. It's still bad. It didn't change. It didn't get any better. If it got worse, that's arguable, but it was bad to start with. So the expectations that it would be miraculously be repaired in a year, it may be unrealistic.
That doesn't seem to match with the community comments though, Dave.
Well, I know what's in front of my house, and it's dead, and it was dead when DLC left here.
Fine, Lance?
Yeah, we're having a problem unmuting. Hold on.
There.
So there you should be. Lance, can you hear us? Ooh, Aaron, back off that. There you go.
He's not.
It looks like he's muting.
Yeah. I'm muted.
Hey, Dan, this is Dave. While you're trying to get Lance on, maybe I can ask Damon a question. There's more to it than just the execution and quality of the landscape. So I noticed in there that the root pruning hadn't started as of January. Is there a reason for that? Because that's an important function of this crew.
I'll let Jesse, you want to answer that on the roof front?
Yeah, we were never given any answers to why they haven't started any of the root pruning. We have requested numerous times, for the root pruning and, on a weekly basis, and they're just not getting to it. I mean, this is also including like the sidewalks. I mean, the sidewalks just have been atrocious this year. I mean, we have more sidewalk repairs than ever before in this community right now. And they just haven't been communicating at all on the repairs.
And it was clear in their scope that was part of their job.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
No luck with Lance?
Can you hear us, Lance?
I'm texting him back and forth, so we're trying to get him unmuted. Oh,
Hey, Damon, if you can't unmute him, maybe you put him on your phone or something,
okay, let me do that.
just so he can talk.
Yeah, let me just call him and
All right, Lance, you're on.
Lance, you're on my speakerphone. We're in the conference room, staff is, but if you can speak through the phone, the board should be able to hear you.
my comments are that, obviously our residents are very unhappy with the way the community looks. I'm fairly certain that, both management and, the founders have expressed, their expectations to Gothic. It doesn't appear those expectations have been met. It's probably time to move forward with, putting it out to bid. I would agree with what Dave Katz said. I didn't really think that the community looked spectacular when DLC was here. But, that's in the past. We need to move forward and, I just, residents are paying, increased fees. They have a expectation that it's gonna look nice, as we all do, so I think it's time that we, move a different direction. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Lance. Any other comments from the board members? Well, if you do, if you don't have them right now, bring them up, but, so where do we go? What do we do from this point forward, Damon? I mean, it may not be 100% enthusiasm for getting, changing directions, but I think there's a clear indication that's where we want to go. What kind of process do we go through?
We would redo the RFPs, the request for proposals. We can have those done by next Friday and get those out to qualified bidders. There's probably 4 or 5 larger companies in the valley that could handle this contract, or hopefully handle this contract. And then we'll give them 3 weeks, say till the end of the 3rd week of February, to get their bids back in. We'll have a couple bid meetings on site for those that want to come and see things in person. I'm sure they all will want to do that. We'll do it, all of them together, so that one company doesn't hear something that the other companies don't hear or don't ask, so to speak, and then make a selection or make a recommendation to the board, and the board can select the company they feel could do the job for us going forward. And hopefully the bigger company should be able to ramp up within 30 days with equipment and everything else to this time of year, to at least keep the mowing going and the cleaning going and stuff like that. And, I'm sure we'll have to add some equipment, some trucks, the first month in, but the bigger companies should be able to, they should have stuff they can pull and put on site to get us by for a month or so.
And so realistically, you would see a new firm on site what month or what?
April 1.
Yeah, that's, can't get too much past that, because then growing season really kicks in for 60 days.
And we, if we get the bids back the 3rd week of February, make the choice, we could have the start date as March 15th for that matter.
But you need to allow time for the landscape committee to have input on the RFP and the bidders.
I think the landscape committee's fine to look at it. You're gonna have to probably make yourself available to the schedule that Cohere puts together, because we can't wait a month to go through that process. So I'm happy to have you be part of it. It's just gonna have to be kind of with the schedule.
Well, we'll work around that. But we need to have input. There's things that were not proper, or not, I wouldn't say not proper, but can be improved upon the last scope of work, and how things are broken up. And if it's all one contract or 4 different contracts, we need to have that discussion.
So Damon,
Here tonight then to terminate the services of Gothic pursuant to whatever the termination clause is in the contract.
Aren't they allowed 90 days notice?
60 days.
Okay. That may be difficult to get somebody else in 60 days to get bids evaluated, get somebody mobilized.
so what action do you need from us tonight, if anything, Damon?
To vote on, to take a formal vote on the termination. I think Lance just said, I didn't hear the first part of what he said, to make a formal vote on, the termination of Gothic's contract and motion in a second, but the minimum is 60 days, so we could do 75 days. We'll basically at that point get us to the end of March.
Okay. And was Lance's a question, comment, or a motion?
That would be a motion.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second on that motion?
Hey, Dan, before a second is made, I have a question for Damon. I'm assuming, but that may be dangerous, that we, and by we, I mean, management staff, have had conversations with Gothic about what it is that isn't going right, and more importantly, what they would need, the reasons behind it, and what they would need in order to bring it up to the standards that we expect. In other words, more staff, more money, whatever the case may be. Have those conversations been had?
Yes, we've actually met with the owner of Gothic, here in the office. So we met, there's a Tuesday standing landscaping meeting, that Jesse McCreener and all those, I'm in at least half of them. If not 3 out of 4, depending on scheduling. But yeah, those conversations actually have been had for the time I've been out here, which is almost 5 months.
And I guess what I'm asking, Damon, is, for lack of a better way to put this, are they in denial, or are they candid about saying, look, we can meet your expectations, but we need, 2 times as many crews, and we need this much more money?
They've actually not come back to us with any of that. They've never asked us for more money nor more staff. They've just said, we can do this and trudge along, so.
Okay. But they haven't to date, so okay, thank you, that clarifies.
Second, the motion made by Lance.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Can you, somebody other than Lance, just because it's bad audio, repeat Lance's motion so we all know it?
Lance?
Oh, I thought, okay. The motion is to provide Gothic notice of termination of their contract.
All right, I guess, do we take it to a vote at this point?
Yes.
Do you want to clarify the timing of that? You want us to,
Yeah, the motion, I'm gonna amend the motion, to take a vote to terminate Gothic's contract with 75 days notice.
right?
Is there a second to that specific motion?
Second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. And do I hesitate to ask this, do we have this as a floor discussion, or is it a board discussion?
It's a board discussion.
All right,
A lot of people with hands up.
Dan, I would recommend that, that you take, the questions. It just looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands up right now. I know you've got a lot of feedback, but, this is an important topic. It may be good to hear what a lot of people have had their hands up for quite a while now.
all right,
Just to hear what people have to say.
yeah, let's open it up. Let's keep it, we'll try to keep it, brief as possible, but let's hear what they have to say. Maybe we're on the wrong path.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and ask, one person to unmute at a time.
You want to call them out by name? The first person I have on the top of my list is Ray Dorr.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very
Hi.
much for unmuting me. I am a new resident to Verrado. Me and my wife purchased our house directly across from Kings Green, November of 2021. And I work out of my casita, and I have my window open on a daily basis, and I get to watch everything that's happening inside of Kings Green. I can personally attest that I have only seen Gothic appear at Kings Green Park probably about 4 or 5 times in the last year. I've submitted multiple community complaints in regards to the shrubbery in the front of our home. They finally showed up and dug everything out and just left it that way and left. I also had a second community complaint about the irrigation system that was leaking. I know that all these problems have already been discussed, and I don't want to beat a dead horse. But I will say, in regards to giving Gothic a 60-day notice, I feel that